Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Boston Celtics just put the Nets in a 0-3 hole. An 0-3 hole. KD and Kyrie and company are. What I saw was Jason Tatum proving me right when I told everybody that I felt that Jason Tatum, if I were to take one player between him and Kevin Durant from this point on, who would I take? I took Jason Tatum without any hesitation, and he made me look like that was the right decision. 39 points, 6 steals. Just completely dominated the basketball game on both ends of the floor. We saw a great play out of Jaylen Brown, who also dominated the basketball game on both ends of the floor. Just terrific basketball play by the Boston Celtics. They forced the issue. They continued to do what they needed to do. They brought Time Lord back, but only for a few minutes. I think he played about 16 minutes, something like that. Nothing too serious. Brought him back slowly. Kept Horford and Grant Williams very much involved as well. Grant Williams had a big game, doing all the little things in a big way. And, turning to one of my favorite players right now. This dude really is. The Boston Celtics look like a fantastic contender to me. If you really want to know the truth at this point, I think they have as good a chance to win as anybody, because they are dominating this Nets team in a way that just makes them look like little boys. It's scary what they've rendered those two legends to. I want to say that Kyrie Irving and KD haven't spent a lot of time together on the floor during their tenure with the Nets. They just haven't either been healthy at the same time, I should say, or obviously everything that went on this year. So, without James Harden, aka Ben Simmons, as they made the trade, missing that star has put them in a position to just not have enough. 3 max contracts doesn't work. That's what we've learned this year. It just doesn't work. You have to build with more balance in mind. Balance, depth, versatility. That's what we've learned. If you don't have those things, if you can't morph into whatever you need to be to guard these teams that can do that, you don't have a chance. And then the Nets looked one-dimensional tonight. They looked like they didn't know who to play in certain situations. You saw Blake Griffin get 8 minutes and look absolutely exhausted, even though he played great. He hit some big threes. I don't know how a man can be out there for only 8 minutes and just be so gassed. That tells me his conditioning is not where it needs to be. That tells me he's probably been sitting down for about 3 months. I don't know. I don't watch the Nets, but I know he hasn't played much in these playoffs. And Steve Nash just called his number, and he really played big and hard. But I'm just trying to figure out, how he's that exhausted. He was so very, very exhausted. He exerted so much energy in that 8-minute span on both ends of the floor. And you got to give him credit. The way he was playing defense, I mean, he was awesome. For 8 minutes, he was awesome. And you just think, man, if only he had been given a little bit more rhythm in terms of his minutes, a bit more consistency, a bit more trust, you would think his conditioning would be in a much better position and in a much better place right now to help you. Because I just look at Blake Griffin's skill set, I look at what they're missing, and I realize they needed him. There was times out there where I thought Steve Nash should have played Claxton. And I know Claxton wasn't necessarily helping them offensively as much, but he provides a lot of energy. And you look up, and he didn't have a single foul tonight. So, needless to say, he should have been on the floor more. I looked up and saw that Patty Mills was 4 for 5. He should have shot more. These are things, you know what I mean? I look at Kyrie Irving, he was like 4 for 17 or something like that. 0 for 7 from 3. Nah, that ain't gonna help nobody. I look at KD, he was like 7 for 11. Why is he only attempting 11 shots? I looked down the stretch of this game at what the Brooklyn Nets were running. They had Bruce Brown taking shots, who played excellent. Don't get it twisted. Bruce Brown had a really, really good game. But why is he taking shots down the stretch of the game? I understand that the Celtics have rendered KD basically to someone lesser than KD. Okay, let's just be honest and respectful. And I get that Kyrie Irving, he's, just having an off night shooting the ball. Understandable. But those are still the two players that you need taking the shots down the stretch of a playoff game. You can't tell me that you running plays for Patty Mills and not Kevin Durant in a playoff game, Steve Nash. They're going to have to fire that man. I'm just going to be honest. And it's not his fault. You know, this is a similar situation with the Lakers where you say they have simultaneous issues. This is just one of them. But Steve Nash is not the coach for what they need right now. Because some of the decisions I saw down there with the rotations, it's just not, that wasn't going to cut it. That just wasn't going to cut it. You know, seeing what he left them with in terms of size in the paint. Yeah, Blake Griffin was the biggest player on the floor, and he's guarding the perimeter player. You know, he had an excellent stop, but they had no offensive rebound because he's the guy that's supposed to be tasked with getting that board. It's just stuff like that. It's like, yo, that should have been Claxton on the floor in that situation. I'm sorry, but Steve Nash, I got a lot of respect for him as a player. I was a fan, even though, you know, he was the opposition. I'm a Laker fan, so it wasn't like I was rooting for him, but I loved his game. But this, him as a coach, I'm cool, man. I'm not seeing what I need to see in these playoffs to make me feel real confident that he's the guy. I look at Ime Udoka, who's also a rookie coach, even though they have different backgrounds in terms of assistant coaching. You can see that in and of itself playing itself out. And you know, there's something to be said for that. I know that this is just one single situation, so, you know, you don't want to think that this is how it's going to go every time. But when you hire coaches without any coaching experience, including assistant coaching experience, you negate certain things that come with understanding how to manage a basketball game, maybe how to manage egos or whatever, or what have you. Certain things have to be learned along the way, and you have to learn those things from other coaches. You look at Ime Udoka, and he's been around coaches forever. You look at Ty Lue, he's been around coaches forever. You look at a guy like Willie Green, been around coaches forever in a coaching role. I don't know if Steve Nash has even really had those type of experiences behind coaches. Has he spent any time as an assistant coach? I think not. They hired him fresh off of being a player. And while he was an amazing player, you would think he would know how to do certain things as a coach. You would think he would have certain instinctual gifts just from being a great player, but it's not translating to some of the decisions that we're seeing out there. It's not translating to wins for this team in a situation where they're a bit undermanned. And as I always say, when you're undermanned, you need a coach who can get the most out of what he has, not somebody who's going to take what little you have and make it worse. You know, and that's exactly what I'm seeing there. So KD, Kyrie struggling, yeah, but that's because their coach didn't put them in positions to get easy things, easy buckets. KD should have been getting misdirection plays, slashing at the basket. I always say, if a player is getting crowded or stuff ain't working for them, they can't do nothing, at that point, everything that they do should be pointed at the rim. Momentum should be pointing them toward the basket. And if you're not doing that, you're up there hiking up jump shots. You're playing right into the defense's hands. And that's exactly what I saw KD do. You know? But even in and of itself, 7 for 11, he didn't shoot enough. Period. No excuses. He ain't shoot enough. You know, everybody complains, say, oh, Kyrie shoots more than KD. Yeah, it's because KD allows it. They used to complain the same way about him, Westbrook. But guess what? Same thing. He lets people shoot more than him. And, it just is what it is. I think if he shot more historically, he'd probably be a much greater player historically. With his ability to be efficient consistently, I think he sold himself short in a couple situations. But nevertheless, he has 2 championship rings. And, you know, he's fighting for a third, but he ain't going to get it this year, man. Looking at this team, looking at how they're playing, they're going home. I don't know if they're going to get knocked off in Game 4, but they're definitely going home. Boston has that number. And they're just bigger, stronger, faster, younger. You name it. Play better defense. Way better defense. Way better defense. It's not even close. You know? Not even close. They are the best defensive team in the NBA right now. That's a fact. And so if anybody is to come out of the East, it's them in my mind right now. Especially with that Joel Finger situation, Middleton and his situation, Booker, him being messed up, Miami, and now Kyle Lowry. It's a lot going on. None of it really good for any of these teams. Memphis look kind of shaky. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but I can't wait to see this game that's about to come on right now, probably very soon. So, yeah, you guys, that is it. That is it. 0-3 for the Brooklyn Nets. Unacceptable. Bruce Brown played great. Give him his credit. Patty Mills shot a little better. That's a good thing, obviously, for their team. Peyton Pritchard, with the minutes he had, he did some more good things. Derek White. They just have an excellent team, man. Once they made that trade to get Derek White and then piggyback that by getting Daniel Tice, that made the Boston Celtics, who were already a fantastic team on both ends of the floor, very, very deep. That's what they turned themselves. They was already deep, but then they became ridiculously deep when they picked up those two players. So, at full strength, I think they might be the team, man. I think they might be the ones in the Eastern Conference. Maybe even the whole league, honestly. Because the West just is a bit shaky right now. I don't really have a whole lot of faith in anybody out here. So, it just is what it is, man. As a Laker fan, this don't make me happy to even think these thoughts. It's kind of scary. We just tied these dudes. But I think they might be the favorites right now. So, we'll keep our eyes open. Congratulations to them. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They for real, man. I don't think people understand that they don't need anything else. They got what they need to win a championship. Now it's just up to them to execute their plan. And that's really it. The only thing standing in their way are other teams. The build is complete. So it is what it is, man. Brooklyn, you got one game left to try to figure out your situation. If not, you're getting swept. Kyrie Irving, he didn't want to take the vaccine. This is how that played out. Whatever you feel about him doing it, not doing it, however your opinion goes, the results of his decision is the team just not ultimately being good enough to compete when they needed to be able to. Because James Harden skedaddled because of that very reason. And if that didn't exist, there would have never been a breakup there. Ben Simmons wasn't healthy. Did they know that when they traded for him? I don't know. Would that have held up the trade if I was making the trade? Given the fact that James Harden wanted to go to Philly so bad, probably not. No, if I knew all of this was going to happen, I still make the trade from Brooklyn because Ben Simmons is going to help me next year and the year after that. And judging by how this situation ended, I'm probably looking to maybe make some big changes if I'm Brooklyn. Big ones, Kyrie. Very big ones, bro. Seriously. I don't know if he know it or not, but Sean Marks has every reason to trade him now. He really does. Every reason. It makes all the sense in the world. It should probably be done. And I know he don't want that. You know what I mean? But this is where we're at. Do I think he fits with Ben Simmons? Yep. Do I think they can upgrade to somebody who can play better defense with Ben Simmons and KD? Absolutely. That's the point. If I can turn Kyrie Irving into some type of big, long, wingy guy, KD, Ben Simmons, and that person possibly can beat the Boston Celtics or Philly or whatever. But this team right here, with Kyrie's injury issues coupled with his choices, I can't. I can't. I wouldn't be able to do this another year with him. I wouldn't. As a fan, I'm rooting for him. I want to see him land in a good space and continue to play ball the way he wants to while living his life the way he wants to. As somebody who's running the Brooklyn Nets, I want the same thing for him too. But I can't have my career leaning on the sway of his choices, man. We cannot do that. You're a business organization. You are about your bottom line at the end of the day. And you can't have pieces that may sway with the wind or the tide of whatever may be going on in their mind. And that is the real deal. Same thing goes as it pertains to investing in Ben, to be honest with you. You know, it's just you need guys that you can trust that are going to be physically and mentally locked in on your goal as a big piece of the team, man. That's what it is, you know. Not people who are going to have their mind set on other things or their passion set on other things. It's wonderful to be multifaceted and to have your mind set on many things. And if you can manage to focus, only few people can really do that. Or you can throw your all into one thing and still have your all into everything else. I mean, it's a very, very, very elite ability. And it's like a lot of people have the confidence that they can do it, but few can execute. And Kyrie wasn't able to execute. He had the confidence that he could do it all, but you have to be willing to sacrifice certain things, and the things you want to give up. And I looked at his face as he was sitting on that bench. The things you want to give up are not the things he had to lose. When making that decision, this wasn't the feeling he wanted to feel when sitting on that bench. I don't know what's gonna come out of his mouth, but I can tell you, it don't feel good to live that, to be in that space, you know? And so it is his choices that led the Nets to ultimately having the environment that led them to this position. Now, all the things that went into each and every game, each and every possession, all those different things, the roster, all of that was above him. But at the end of the day, they had a core of 3 players that in theory should not have ever been able to be stopped. And while it was one player who decided to leave, he left because he wasn't happy with the choice that another player made. And that is the story of the Brooklyn Nets. So, I don't know if they're going to be able to right that wrong by at least winning the game and make it look good. But the way this story's going, probably not, man. They're probably going home with a sweep because that's just how these things kind of go sometimes. But in a world of health and safety protocol, I would just say keep playing. Honestly, you never know. You look up and they remove Marcus Smart, move Al Horford. Like, I ain't speaking that into existence, but I'm just saying those are the type of things that, you know, in a world where health and safety protocol exists, where Paul George can be removed from a playing game, I don't think anybody should be giving up on anything just to keep it on it. Let me be real with you, but it is what it is, man. I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy this Minnesota Timberwolves and Memphis matchup, and I'll get back to you guys on that as well. And I thank you guys for watching BDL 44. I'm out.